The morning sun burned red over Yellowstone as Ranger Declan Carter spotted the impossible, a 200-pound lion cub dangling from a cliff edge, its claws scraping against crumbling rock. Every survival instinct told Declan to stay back. Every human instinct screamed at him to act. What happened next would defy every rule of nature and rewrite the destiny of both man and beast forever. Fresh out of ranger school, Declan had pictured peaceful patrols through golden meadows, not this heart-stopping moment where a lion's life literally hung in the balance. The park's beauty was a lie. Beneath the postcard-perfect vistas lurked razor-edged cliffs, unpredictable predators, and split-second decisions that separated heroes from casualties. Today, Declan would learn that lesson the hard way. Sunset Ridge was supposed to be safe, the pride's favorite playground with its panoramic views. But when playful cub Kito chased his sibling too close to the edge, the unthinkable happened. A sickening crack echoed across the canyon as 6 tons of ancient rock sheared away, sending Kito into freefall. Declan's jeep fishtailed to a stop just in time to see those terrified amber eyes disappear over the ledge. The remaining cubs kept roughhousing, oblivious to their brother's peril. Only the alpha male, Scar, recognized the danger. His thunderous warning roar shook the valley. But lion cubs don't understand mortality. As Kito's siblings tumbled over each other, another section of the cliff face groaned. Declan watched in horror as hairline fractures raced through the stone like spiderwebs, directly beneath the playing cubs. Time slowed as the ledge collapsed in an avalanche of dust and scree. Kito made a desperate leap for safety and missed. Declan's breath caught as he saw those massive paws flailing, catching purchase on nothing but air. For 3 terrifying seconds, the cub slid down the vertical rock face before miraculously hooking his claws into the thinnest of crevices. Declan's boots skidded on loose gravel as he belly-crawled to the edge. Kito's muscles trembled with exhaustion, his claws slowly losing their grip. The ranger's mind raced through terrible math. The cub weighed more than a grown man, the rescue ropes were rated for 300 pounds, and the crumbling cliff could go at any second. One deep breath. One terrible choice. Risk his life for a predator. Kito's hind legs kicked wildly, sending showers of pebbles into the abyss. Declan uncoiled his rescue rope with shaking hands, whispering prayers to whatever gods watch over foolish rangers. As the nylon loop swung toward the cub, a new danger emerged. Scar was stalking closer, lips curled back from yellowed fangs. The alpha lion wouldn't understand. Wouldn't care. To him, this was just another threat to his pride. Static crackled from Declan's radio, rescue team ETA 18 minutes. 18 minutes? Kito had maybe 18 seconds left. The rope brushed the cub's flank, a deadly miscalculation. Kito whipped his head around, jaws snapping inches from Declan's fingers. Then came the sound every ranger dreads, the sickening pop of claws tearing free from rock. No more time for caution. No more room for error. Something miraculous happened in that suspended heartbeat. As the rope settled around Kito's torso, the cub stopped struggling. Those wild eyes locked onto Declan's, not with fear, but something deeper. Understanding? Hope? The moment shattered as Scar's roar shook the canyon, his 400-pound frame charging straight for them. Declan had one chance. One pull. And no guarantee either of them would survive it. Muscles screaming, Declan hauled backward as the rope sawed into his palms. Kito's weight nearly yanked him over the edge. The cliff face groaned in protest. Then, miracle of miracles, tawny fur cleared the ledge. But as Kito collapsed onto solid ground, Scar emerged from the dust, his murderous charge unstoppable. Declan did the only thing he could. Kito's amber eyes widened as Scar's shadow loomed over them, not with predator's fury but with something far more shocking, recognition. The massive alpha lion skidded to a halt just feet away, nostrils flaring as he scented the trembling cub and the human who reeked of sweat and fear. In that frozen heartbeat, Declan saw the impossible, wild intelligence warring with instinct behind those golden eyes. Scar's muscles coiled for the kill, then relaxed. A low, rumbling sound vibrated from his chest, not a growl, but something deeper. Kito responded instantly, pressing his small body against the alpha's flank. Declan didn't dare breathe as Scar's gaze locked onto his. The message was clear: you helped mine. I spare you. Then, with a flick of his tail, the alpha turned away, herding Kito toward the waiting pride. Static erupted from Declan's radio, the rescue team was closing in. But as he tried to stand, white-hot pain lanced through his leg. The cliffside struggle had torn ligaments, maybe broken bones. Through gritted teeth, he reported the miracle no one would believe: subject secure, pride withdrew peacefully. The disbelief on the other end was palpable. No one walked away from an enraged alpha lion. No one. As adrenaline faded, Declan's vision swam. The last thing he saw before blacking out was Kito glancing back over a tawny shoulder, that same unreadable look passing between them. When the medevac arrived, they found the ranger unconscious, with fresh lion paw prints circling his body like some ancient protective ritual. 3 weeks in the hospital gave Declan too much time to doubt. Had he imagined that connection? Wildlife experts scoffed at his claims lions didn't show gratitude. But when he finally returned to Sunset Ridge, the proof came stalking out of the brush. Kito, now half-grown, his muzzle dusted with blood from a recent kill, and those same piercing eyes studying the ranger from a respectful distance. Kito didn't approach, didn't flee, just held the gaze for 10 perfect seconds before vanishing into the golden grass. But in that moment, Declan knew whatever bond had formed on that cliff wasn't human imagination. It was something primal, something permanent, and it would be tested sooner than either could imagine. Park biologists set up cameras, desperate to document the phenomenon. But Kito avoided the lenses, appearing only when Declan patrolled. Their silent encounters became legend among rangers, always the same ritual: eye contact, stillness, then disappearance. Until the September monsoons rolled in and nature prepared its cruelest test. Torrential rains turned Yellowstone into a death trap. Declan was evacuating hikers when the emergency call came in: massive mudslide on Ridge Road. As his jeep plowed through the storm, something massive darted across the road, Kito moving with urgent purpose. Not away from danger. Toward it. Toward Declan. The realization hit like lightning: Kito wasn't stalking him. He was hurting him. Every time Declan changed direction, the lion repositioned himself, forcing the jeep toward higher ground. Then the world exploded. A wall of mud and debris sheared through the forest, swallowing the road where Declan would have been. Kito's warning roar was the last sound before the avalanche hit. Pinned in his overturned jeep, Declan coughed blood as muddy water rose. Through the shattered windshield, he saw Kito digging frantically at the debris, not with a predator's fury but with desperate precision. Then, miracle of miracles, other rangers appeared, drawn by the lion's relentless cries. As consciousness faded, Declan's final thought was of those amber eyes watching over him, just like on the cliff. The heavens had opened like a wound. Declan's wipers fought a losing battle against the onslaught as his jeep fishtailed through rivers of mud. Somewhere in this chaos, Kito was leading him or hunting him. The radio spat static. All units evacuate, repeat, evacuate now. But the lion's eerie cries pulled Declan deeper into the storm's heart, toward a fate not even his training could prepare him for. A sound like thunder rolled through the valley, except the sky was silent. Declan barely had time to hit the brakes before the mountainside came alive. Trees snapped like twigs as a tidal wave of mud and rock swallowed the road ahead. In his rearview mirror, a flash of tawny fur. Kito, sprinting full tilt toward the jeep instead of fleeing. The last thing Declan saw before impact was those wild eyes blazing through the rain. Darkness, crushing weight. The jeep's roof groaned inches from Declan's face as mud oozed through every crack. His ribs screamed where the seatbelt had nearly cut him in half. Then movement outside. Scratching. Digging. Kito's muzzle appeared at the shattered window, nostrils flaring as he sniffed for life. Declan's numb fingers brushed fur as the lion did something impossible. He started to dig. Declan's radio was dead, his locator beacon buried under tons of earth. Every ragged breath tasted of wet soil and gasoline. But Kito worked relentlessly, his paws raw from clawing at the wreckage. When the lion suddenly reared back and roared. Not in anger, but in some ancient call for help. Declan understood. This wasn't just rescue. It was a summons. Answering cries echoed through the valley. Not just lions, human voices. Kito had led rangers straight to the wreckage. As flashlights pierced the gloom, Declan watched the exhausted lion collapse in the mud beside him. Blood streaked Kito's flank from debris, but his chest still rose and fell. Their eyes met one last time before the rescue team pulled Declan free, and Kito vanished into the storm like a ghost. The medics would later say Declan had been minutes from suffocation, that no animal should have known how to find him, let alone dig him out. Yet the evidence was undeniable. Lion tracks circling the jeep, deep gouges in the earth where Kito had tunneled like some primal excavator, and one final imprint, as if the beast had lain beside the wreckage, keeping watch until help came. Declan woke in the hospital to murmurs of miracle. But the real shock came when rangers reviewed trail cam footage. There, clear as daylight, Kito standing guard over the buried jeep for 3 hours, snarling at coyotes drawn by the scent of blood. Not feeding, not fleeing, protecting. Even wildlife experts had no explanation for behavior so human. Security footage showed the exact moment Kito finally retreated. Not when rescuers arrived, but when Declan's limp body was loaded onto the stretcher, as if some unbreakable thread had been severed. The pride called for him all night, their haunting cries carrying across the valley. But Kito never answered. By dawn he was gone. 2 months later, Declan limped back to Sunset Ridge on a prosthetic leg. The park had theories. Kito was dead. Kito had rejoined his pride. All wrong. At twilight, a familiar silhouette emerged from the tree-lean thinner, with a jagged scar across his muzzle. No one breathed as man and lion locked eyes across the clearing. Then Kito did something that shattered every scientific argument. He nodded before melting back into the wild. Trail cams would capture Kito for years after, always watching Declan's patrols from a distance, once even chasing a grizzly away from a campsite the ranger was hiking toward. No zoologist could explain it, but the Blackfoot elders knew. They called it Neatsikoan, the old bond between protector and protected. And in Yellowstone's heart, where science meets mystery, that bond still walks on silent paws. Kito defied every law of nature. Where other lions bolted at human scent, he'd stand his ground, watching, assessing. Rangers reported him shadowing hikers for miles, not hunting, but guarding. Scientists called it habituation. Declan knew better. That cliffside bond had rewritten something primal in the lion's soul. And when the wildfires came, that unshakable trust would save dozens. Declan's boots always paused at mile marker 37. If the wind was right, he'd spot Kito's silhouette atop Sunset Ridge, 2 tons of muscle and instinct, staring back. No roar. No approach. Just that same weighted look passing between them. New rangers laughed at the ritual until they saw it themselves. The chill that ran down their spines had a name: reverence. 3 years after the landslide, Kito broke protocol. Declan was repairing a fence when dry grass crackled, not the cautious steps of a predator, but deliberate. Purposeful. Every nerve screamed to retreat as 500 pounds of lion closed the distance. Then Kito dropped the mangled collar at his feet. The blood-stained GPS unit still transmitted from a poacher's abandoned camp. The collar incident made waves. Biologists theorized about operant conditioning. Poachers swapped terrified stories of a demon lion that stalked their camps. But the Blackfoot elders simply nodded. Their ancestors spoke of Mahios messengers, creatures who walked between worlds. And when the first flames licked at Yellowstone's borders, Kito would prove them right. Smoke choked the valley as Declan's team evacuated tourists. Then a roar cut through the chaos. Kito materialized from the haze, his pride flanking him like soldiers. Not attacking. Not fleeing. Herding. Guiding disoriented families along forgotten game trails. That night, 217 people reached safety because lions chose to lead rather than hunt. News vans clogged park gates. Miracle lions trended globally. Yet Kito avoided cameras, appearing only in fleeting glimpses, a shadow beside Declan during press conferences, vanishing before lenses could focus. The ranger's lone interview went viral. "We call them beasts because we don't understand their language of loyalty." Peer-reviewed journals splintered over interspecies cooperative behavior. Trail cams captured Kito's pride escorting lost children to ranger stations. Geneticists found no anomalies in their DNA. Yet the evidence mounted until the October morning when Kito's final act shattered all debate. A backpacker's grainy iPhone photo broke the internet. Declan, now silver-haired, sitting cross-legged as Kito, massive with age, rested his head on the ranger's knee like some house cat. Not a tranquilizer dart in sight. The hashtag #LionSaint trended for weeks. By the time fact-checkers arrived, both subjects had vanished. Declan found Kito's farewell at dawn, the lion's favorite chew toy, a shredded ranger boot, placed neatly on his cabin steps. The pride's morning songs echoed for days. When researchers later found Kito's body beneath their cliff, they noted 2 details: his face pointed toward Declan's home, and his eyes, clouded by death, still held that same knowing gleam. No one witnessed Declan's final goodbye. But rangers tracking mountain lions that morning reported an anomaly: an old man kneeling beside a fallen king, forehead pressed to fur, shoulders shaking in the icy dawn. When he stood, he left his badge in the dust and walked away without looking back. The park's heartbeat slower after that. Kito's great-grand cubs now rule Sunset Ridge. They ignore tourists but freeze when rangers pass, locking eyes with an intelligence that unsettles even veterans. Scientists call it learned behavior. The Blackfoot elders whisper of Ionewa, the remembering spirit. Declan, now white-haired and slow, just smiles when asked. You're asking the wrong question. It's not if they understand gratitude, but if we're worthy of it. Modern collars track Kito's lineage. His descendants are the park's largest pride, yet they show eerie behaviors, herding lost hikers, avoiding poachers' traps. DNA tests show no abnormalities. But trail cams capture something chilling, the alpha female carrying Declan's rusted badge in her jaws like a relic. Biologists publish papers. The Blackfoot leave offerings. And the legend grows. Declan's cabin became a shrine. Visitors leave lion carvings, children's drawings, letters to Kito. The old man ignores the fuss but keeps one item on his porch, a weather-worn ranger boot, 2 marks still visible. On stormy nights, hikers swear they see 2 shadows on the ridge, one straight-backed, one four-legged, watching over the valley they saved together. A geological survey revealed the truth. The cliff where Kito nearly fell was rotten with iron erosion. Every other section collapsed in the next monsoon. Statistically, the lead researcher admitted neither should have survived. When asked, Declan just tapped his chest. Some bonds hold stronger than rock. The scientist didn't laugh. She'd seen the footage. Declan's nightmares weren't of mud or claws, they were of failing Kito's legacy. Then last winter, cameras caught Kito's granddaughter doing the impossible, leading a snowbound family to a ranger station, then vanishing before thanks could be given. Watching the playback, the old ranger whispered, "That's my boy," to the empty room. Some bonds never break. Yellowstone's policies now include interspecies protocols. Rangers study Kito's case like scripture. Poacher sightings dropped 80%, locals blame the ghost lion that sabotages traps. Even the wolves seem different, calmer. As if the lions taught them what Kito learned, some humans are worth protecting. At Kito's cliff, a bronze plaque reads, "The wild remembers." Visitors leave notes, prayers, confessions, thanks. Rangers never remove them. Because sometimes at dawn, the papers flutter without wind and the distant echo of a roar rolls across the valley like thunder. Declan's final public words haunt researchers. We spend millions decoding barks and growls but refuse to see what's screaming at us. Watch a crow gift shiny trash to the person who feeds it. Look into a dog's eyes when you cry. Kito didn't learn compassion, he chose it. The real question is, why can't we? Every year on the landslide's anniversary, fresh paw prints circle Declan's cabin. No lion is ever seen. But at sunrise, frost forms strange patterns, a massive paw beside a boot print leading to the cliff's edge. The morning light hits just right, and for one breathless moment, 2 figures stand sentinel over the waking park. So I leave you with this: next time you hike Yellowstone's backcountry and feel unseen eyes watching, will you freeze in fear? Or smile? Because out there in the golden grass, Kito's legacy walks on silent paws. And if you're very still, very brave, you might just earn a lion's nod of approval.